All set? Just let me know when we're good to go. Good to go? Lucy, are you good? Okay, fantastic. Okay, great. Welcome, everybody. Happy end of summer. Not quite end, but getting there pretty close. So just a quick housekeeping item. The Open Public Meeting Statement. In accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, PL 1975 announcement, the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the School District of the Chatham's Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, place thereof posted in the Board Administrative Offices, sent to the clerks of the Chatham Borough, the Chatham Township, the Chatham Library, Chatham Courier, the Daily Record, the Star Ledger, and the TAP online newspaper. Mr. DeQuilla, would you mind taking attendance?
Sure. Ms. Ciccarelli.
Here.
Ms. Clark.
Here.
Mr. Del Sandro.
Here.
Ms. Kenny.
Here.
Ms. Ross.
Here.
Mr. Ryan. Mr. Smith.
Here.
Dr. Zhang. And Ms. Weber.
Here.
7 present and accounted for.
Great, thank you. If you're able, please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is to the left, my left, your right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Excellent. As is not unusual, I do not have any president's comments, although I will make a comment during Dr. LaSousa's report. We have an action-packed agenda, so Mike, I'm going to send it right over to you.
Thank you, Ms. Weber. Just a couple of items for me. Obviously, we're on the doorstep of a new school year, so welcome back to everyone. I think we're in reasonably good shape. Mr. DeQuilla will give an update about various construction projects throughout the
A chance for a lot of us to recharge our batteries. It's the busiest time of the year for certain people in the school district. I mean, supervisors are working throughout the summer. Beth Grant and her team are there tirelessly. I mean, anytime I drive by the high school, that corner of the building is lit up like a Christmas tree. So thank you for all of the onboarding that you've been doing, the maintainers, the custodians, and I'm sure I'm forgetting people, the teachers that have to set their classrooms up. So, you know, the floors don't get that shiny by themselves. They empty every classroom, clean it, and put it back together. If you come to the school during the summer, it is a hotbed of activity. So I just want to thank all those folks that work so hard over the summer. And, you know, the board really appreciates it. We notice it. We drive by, we walk by, we're through the buildings throughout the summer. And it's a tremendous amount of effort that takes place over those 8 weeks that we're not here. And I just want to thank everybody for it. So that was it on that. And Mike, on the November ballot proposals, there was some talk of the actual interpretive statement that had to be approved. Is that finalized yet or not quite yet?
I believe so. Our attorney did draft the statement. Mr. DeQuilla sent it to the county clerk's office. I don't think he's gotten any feedback about it. If he does, he'll let us know.
Okay.
The county office, and it will be printed on the sample ballot when they send it out for review, which will verify that they've copied verbatim, and then we'll be set to go.
Okay. So as far as you know, what was sent is what will appear on the sample ballots?
That is the typical procedure, yes.
Okay. Okay, great. I know there was some tweaking done to it to make it as crystal clear as possible. And then at the next meeting, Mike, we're going to go into a little bit more detail about some of the security
Yep.
features, where the money's going to.
Yes.
Okay, great. And we'll do that as part of the regular board meeting.
Okay.
I think it's just better to wait for folks to come back. You know, the last 2 weeks of August are just such a busy vacation time. I think by the September meeting, more folks will be back in town and kind of dialed in to school by then. And even folks that don't have kids in school, they're back, you know, from vacation, and work is, you know, they're back to work again. Mr. Smith, did you have anything you want to add to that?
No, I think that it's good to be transparent about the exact projects that we're looking to do, and I think we've been very clear that we need money for security, and that's what we're going to do with that money, and we're going to continue to be as transparent as possible.
Right. Yeah.
Is there a way to have like a space dedicated on our website for people to go and access the information once we share it, if there are any presentations or different data sheets that we can, and
Sure.
the interpretive statement and whatever it is, so that people have the ability to review it on their time? Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any other questions for Dr. LaSousa on any of those items or additional items? No, great, okay. Thank you, Mike. Peter, over to you for Business Administrator.
Sure. Just two quick items. As a follow-up to November election, after the July 31st deadline, there are 3 candidates for the 3 open positions. In the borough, it is Ms. Weber and Mr. Ryan, and in the township, Mr. Smith. So all 3 will be running unopposed come the November election for board candidates. On the construction update, the good news is the Lafayette roof project was completed, and it's punch list, and it's all taken care of. As Dr. LaSousa said, the high school ramp is in process. There was a slight delay. The railings are being fabricated, and they'll be installed as soon as they're completed. There is a chance that the ramp will not be open for next Monday morning. I've worked with Dr. Sortino and Dr. Walker. We do have an alternative for the bus to drop the students off in the back of the high school by the board entrance, so they'll go right up the ramp and in through the back by the C gym until the railings are installed and we have the final CO on the ramp.
Okay, will there be signage too, Peter, for visitors that need to get into high school?
We can easily add that.
Because they won't know to go,
Yeah.
you know, in the back. I
We
just wanna make
can,
sure.
we can easily add that. If we see somebody coming in, we can motion them, or ramp closed, please, you know, handicap, please move to the back. I will take care of that.
Okay. And do you know when it will be, when it's?
They're currently being fabricated, so we're at the mercy of the railing company. I will like I said, have our fingers crossed for having them before the end of the week, but I don't think that's possible. Hopefully sometime next week.
Okay, great. If it's not up, just make sure we have the right signage so
Yep.
that we're compliant.
Will do.
Perfect.
The only negative news is the high school roof project that was supposed to happen over the summer due to contractor having scheduling issues. They determined it was in best interest not even to start the job rather than have it partially done and then work on it through the night or through the afternoon schedule. We are now scheduled to begin as soon as school finishes next year, which is either the week of June 17th, or they will mobilize and start work on the 24th. We've gotten written guarantees or written letters that the pricing will all remain the same, and we will have top priority in the scheduling for the contracted roofer. So the PO will remain open until next year.
Okay, great.
So, and that's all I have.
Sorry, just one more question back on the ramp and the accessibility. Is there more than one handicap spot in the back of the building where you're proposing the alternate route be, or is there only one? And if there's only one, can
There
we?
are at least 4,
Oh, okay, okay.
if not 5, and the two or three of them are van accessible.
Okay, great.
So I only really need the 24-passenger bus to pull up, drop off,
Yep.
and leave.
Okay, and I'm thinking of people that maybe they're coming to see a volleyball game.
Okay.
And they need access to the school.
Oh, it should be well done before the season even gets started.
You just jinxed yourself. That was a shame.
Probably, and we currently have 2 staff members that park in the back that access the building that way.
Okay, perfect. Okay, we'll just keep an eye on it. Thank you. Any questions for Peter on any of those updates? And Peter, if you would, please thank the maintainers for us.
Will do.
The schools look great. I had to almost put sunglasses on with the shine in the floor walking in tonight.
Oh, it is incredible whenever you walk into any building how shiny the floors are. I don't know how they do it.
I don't know how they do it, but I wish they'd come
It's
to my
almost where I
house.
want to have everybody take their shoes off and just walk in socks for
Right.
at least the first month.
A week from now, there'll be 1,000 students running through it, and it's going to be great. No additional questions for Peter? Okay, great. On to our student liaison, Riley.
Not much to report. Fall sports started today, as Dr. LaSousa mentioned. The first football game is on Saturday. It's home at 1. You can get tickets on hometown ticketing, I'm pretty sure. And the only other thing is there was a new entrant meeting last week, so all the new families to the high school specifically were paired up with a peer mentor at the high school, part of the Links program. Students were taken on a tour. Families were given a presentation by the administration at the high school, just to make them feel welcome. And there was also an open house held by the Links group as well that everyone was welcome to attend. So all went smoothly.
Excellent, great. Thank you, Riley. And just a reminder, senior citizens, there's no fee for the football game. So please, and there's plenty of accessibility parking, so if you have nothing to do on Saturday at 1, just remember entrance fees are waived for any senior citizens since they're so generous to support the schools. We want them to attend every event possible. And there's tons of parking at Cougar right along the front entrance there. Very good. Thank you, Riley. Committee reports, Ms. Chigarelli for personnel.
Yes, we met on the 31st of July and just discussed any openings that we had for the upcoming school year and any other positions that needed to be filled. And we are meeting again on September 6th.
Sorry, just a quick question on personnel. Sorry, Ms. Grant. I know, you triggered something.
Ba-dum-bum.
I know,
Go
but
ahead.
I'm sorry. Dr. LaSousa had mentioned, and maybe it's a question for Dr. LaSousa, you had mentioned that there was some movement in the legislation that might free up. I mean, there's such a teacher shortage. This is what poor Beth and her team are doing at midnight, trying to shake the trees to find certified teachers. You had discussed some movement in the legislature where that might free up some certified staff, maybe border states. Has that gotten any traction?
That particular one did not get traction yet, though they're still talking about it. That's just to eliminate the residency requirement so that we can recruit from out of state, or districts near the borders can recruit from out of state. One of the items that did gain, that the governor did sign into law, was the ability for us for another year to hire retired staff members, and they can work with us for up to 2 years and still not be harmed from a pension standpoint. So we do have one staff member that had taught here up until about a year ago that we're hiring tonight to plug a science vacancy that we advertised for many weeks and couldn't find a suitable candidate. So he's going to take that position, and that's at Chatham Middle School.
Okay. If you could just keep us, I mean, that's a Band-Aid. That's not going to fix the problem. I mean, there's got to be some real change to get students to want to go to college to be a teacher. There has to be something that changes that make it a more desirable position. It's a great position, sorry. No, seriously, we need
Yeah.
to get students in college that want to be certified teachers. So, okay, well, keep us posted. I was hoping that residency would have freed up a significant amount of teachers that would eventually trickle inland. Okay, thank you, sorry, Ann. Ms. Ross for curriculum?
The curriculum committee has not met since the last meeting. Our next one will be also on September 6th, along with personnel.
Okay, thanks. Mr. Smith for finance and facilities?
Finance and Facilities has not met either. I believe we're meeting the first week in September, second week? I don't have the calendar right in front of me. We're meeting early September.
I believe it's the 13th.
Okay. Okay, perfect. And policy has also not met then?
Policy has not, yeah.
Our next is August 30th.
Okay,
Both policy and finance, the 13th.
13th.
okay, perfect.
Not 30th?
We switched it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anybody have any liaison? No. Education, oh, summertime. Next time, this is going to be chock full of reports. Excellent. Okay, so I'm just going to move on to the meeting minutes from July 10th. We had a public and executive session, and Michelle and Susan were not present. So if you wouldn't mind abstaining. So I'd like to make a motion to pass the minutes for the public session and the executive session from July 10th, 2023.
Someone has to second.
I'll second.
Great. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
2 abstentions, Mr. DeQuilla.
Meeting minutes passed 502.
Okay, great, thank you. So we are at our first opportunity for public commentary. A hearing of the citizens during the public commentary section of the agenda is an opportunity for any member of the public to be heard about issues which are or are not scheduled for the current meeting. To help facilitate an orderly meeting and to permit all to be heard, speakers will be asked to limit their comments to a reasonable length of time. If you could, excuse me, if you could sign in and also introduce yourself, that would be great.
I just have a couple of questions about the 2 second questions that are up for, pardon me? Oh, sorry.
Self as requested.
Libby Hills and Math, Chatham Borough. Couple of questions about the 2 second questions. As I read it, it says a permanent tax increase. Does that mean that, or there's 2 of them actually, does that mean that for next year only, there will be an increase of, if you add the 2, 850,000 and 900,000, which is $1.75 million. Would that be just an increase one time next year to the base budget? And therefore, going forward, if you were to levy 2% or more, it would be based on that base budget? So that's one question that I hope you can answer. And I think leading into that, I know it was said tonight that I was hoping, based on Mike Ryan's comments the last meeting, that there would be some special meetings held to answer people's questions like mine about these 2 second questions up for vote. From what I heard tonight, and correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like there will not be any special meetings to discuss those second questions. They will just be discussed at the regular Board of Ed meetings, which would be once a month, I guess, September and October. Again, please correct me if I'm wrong, and I would like some dialogue about it. And how will you communicate, other than to just the parents in the schools, that you are going to hold meetings discussing these second questions, whether they're just regular Board of Ed meetings or the special meetings, because people other than parents who are taxpayers have a stake in this. So how will you communicate those either regular Board of Ed meetings or special meetings to the general public so that they can be informed as well? Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Libby. Any other questions? Great. Okay, so we're going to close the first public commentary, and if something strikes your fancy, there's another one at the end. So I'm going to do the best I can, and then if Mr. Smith has anything to add or has to correct me where I went off the rails, he'll jump in. So the second question, just in simple math, and I think you said it right, but just to really simplify it, if our budget was $1 million, that's the base budget. We get 2%, we are allowed up to 2% tax levy. So we would then, if we went all the way to 2%, which Mr. Smith has explained, we didn't use the full tax levy, but if we did, we went to 2%, that's $20,000. So now the base budget becomes $1,020,000. The following year, that's the baseline, and the school district is allowed 2% tax levy on top of that. So it's a permanent increase one time, but it increases the base. So it's not that we're going to ask for that percentage each and every time, but it does become part of the base, which allows us to then pay for ongoing expenses like security guards, like security improvements. So I believe that was your first question. The presentation, we didn't say we're going to do a special one, but it's going to be very special, but it's going to occur at our board meeting. We've tried to hold special meetings in the past, including ones that you've asked for, and literally nobody attends, including people that ask for them. So we're just going to hold it. They're going to be recorded. They're put out in the press. They're videotaped. They're going to be on the website. So anybody that wants to tune in to the next meeting, they can. Anybody that's interested in knowing that the budget's coming up, they will tune in. If they're okay and, with how they're going to read their interpretive statement when they get their ballot, that's up to them. We'll do a presentation. I believe the next meeting is September 10th, correct, Board of Ed? 18th? Oh, missed a whole week of my life. Great. So we'll do one then, and if folks have questions, we'll have some dialogue. The board may have some additional questions that they might want to kick around. But again, the two, it's really very simple. Do you want to be able to pay paras more so that we can recruit and keep paraprofessionals? And do we want to invest more in security? It's personnel and it's physical security, physical infrastructure. And then communicate better is the third item. We're communicating now. We communicate. Every resident will get the ballot. Every resident will get the interpretive statement. It will be covered in the press. Tyler's sitting here. Ed reports out on every Board of Ed meeting. And again, those that are interested are dialed in. Those that are not are not. I'm not door knocking. What I also would like to point out that any resident that would like to subscribe to any, like the newsletters that Dr. LaSousa sends out, you can subscribe, and if he sends a parent letter out, which always get printed in the press anyway, but if you want to get your own copy to your email address, you can subscribe to that as well. So there's plenty of avenues to communicate. You can go to the website, as Michelle indicated, the statement will be there. So those are the means that we're going to communicate. And Libby, you can tell anybody that you want that we're going to have a presentation on September 10th as part of the regular board meeting.
Just a question. The new school district of the Chatham's app, it's available to anyone, correct?
Sure, I did.
Yeah.
I downloaded it.
So we have a new app for anybody who is unaware. We do have a new app, and things like this, board meetings and other meetings will be posted on there as well.
Yep, good point. I forgot about that. I love the new app. Not that anybody cares.
We have a new app, and we have a new website. The app is a companion to the website, so the best information, especially when it comes to files that might be significant, would be the website. And there's also a mobile version of the website. So you can either get the app, which will give you a lot of like notifications and feeds and things like that. And then for bigger presentations or documents, files that you want to scrutinize, the website is a better place for that.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Bradley, did I go off the rails anywhere?
No, I think Ms. Hiltonrath's specific question was if this allotted money for security is placed into the budget, it goes towards the base. And yes, the 2% increases on that base in subsequent years, but that money in subsequent years and in year one is being allocated towards security projects.
Great, thank you. Could you turn Susan's microphone on, please?
Once the language is approved, but prior to the paper ballots being mailed out that people can see, can the actual questions be put on the website so that when people read it, if they are confused or if we have to rehash understanding it? Because I do think that people that come here and listen understand it, but if they were seeing it for the first time when they vote, it could probably work against us if we're not absolutely clear. So can that be put
Yes.
online? Okay,
We can definitely do that.
okay.
Perfect. All right, so we're going to move on to the regular agenda. And just to remind folks, these are posted generally by Friday afternoon. So if it appears that we go through them quickly, it's that we've already read through them. So if you don't mind, Ann, can we start off with personnel?
I want to move action items A1 to A25 on the regular agenda, and then A3, 4, 5, 7, 15, 17, 23, 26 to 30, and 32 to 35 on the addendum.
Could you turn on Mike's mic?
As I'd mentioned, there are a lot of action items in response to getting the year up and running and filling vacancies. Only one retirement. Just want to note John Osler. He's a finance guy that made a second career in public education. He's done a great job for us. I wish him well. And we are appointing into a full-time permanent position of science supervisor Lauren Laporto, who happens to be in the audience tonight. So I want to congratulate her and welcome her again, even though she did this for us last year, but now it's becoming more official this year.
Becoming a regular occurrence.
Hopefully this is the last one.
Yes, that would be nice. Peter, did you get a second? Okay, very good. And also, Mr. Osler, congratulations on his retirement. He's been a fan favorite, right, Riley?
Yeah.
He's been great with finance. He's really, if anybody's student had him, you would cringe because your kids learned about credit cards and how much things cost if you put it on credit, that every time you went to buy a pizza, your kid be like, you know how much that pizza's going to cost you if you don't pay that credit card off? Which, so I thought he really resonated with the kids. And, you know, I don't even know that he used a traditional textbook, but real life, every day, he made it, he really brought home exactly what personal finances means and how it impacts them in their day-to-day life. So it was really, he really had a neat approach, I guess, having come from Wall Street for so many years. But good luck to him on his retirement. And again, I'm once again jealous of anybody that gets to retire. Excellent, very good. Thank you. Any other questions on personnel for Ann or Beth or Dr. LaSousa? Nope, seeing none. Peter, would you mind?
Sure. Agenda items A1 to 25, addendum numbers 3, 4, 5, 7, 15, 17, 23, and 26 to 35 inclusive. Ms. Ciccarelli.
Yes.
Ms. Clark.
Yes.
Mr. Del Sandro.
Yes.
Ms. Kenny.
Yes.
Ms. Ross.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
And Ms. Weber.
Yes,
Agenda items passed 7-0.
great, thank you. Over to you, Mr. Smith, for finance and facilities.
Yes, I'd like to move B1 to B22 to a vote and also highlight two donations. We have a donation from the Chatham High School PTO for 90 long, hot, numbered classroom closet pocket charts for holding 30 cell phones apiece, which are going to be placed in every classroom. And we also have a donation from the Chatham High School Athletic Booster Club, which we appreciate, that goes towards a camera subscription for all sports in the Cougar, Haas, and main gym at the high school for next school year. So thank you.
Second.
Does anybody have any questions or discussion items for Bradley or Peter? No? Excellent. Mr. DeQuilla, would you mind?
Sure. Agenda items B1 through B22. Ms. Ciccarelli.
Yes.
Ms. Clark.
Yes.
Mr. Del Sandro.
Yes.
Ms. Kenny.
Yes.
Ms. Ross.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Dr. Weber. Ms. Weber. Sorry.
Yes.
Agenda items passed 7-0.
Very good, thank you. Ms. Ross, over to you for curriculum.
I'd like to move action items C1 through C6 on the regular agenda.
I'll second that. Any discussion items or questions on curriculum?
I have a question about number 6, about the virtual instruction plan. Dr. Donahue, it says here this is specific for health-related school closure, but is there anything, like if there is closure for weather, natural disasters, is it correspond, or is this a mandate from the state, first of all?
Yes.
Okay, I see.
Is it a funded mandate?
No.
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 Aren't they all
Okay, so we're
unfunded
forced to do
mandates?
this, but would the same protocol kind of come in line if we were dealing with a natural disaster or something of that nature-ish?
There's another bill to try to address that. This does
Okay.
not address inclement weather or natural disasters and closings like that.
Okay.
So the bill that's out there right now, there is back and forth about whether or not a district should be permitted to move to virtual instruction in the event of some type of natural disaster.
Okay.
If it needs to bank 3 days of closure first and then transition into some type of virtual program. But the jury's still out on what will ultimately become of that.
Okay, thank you.
And I just wanted to get back to Riley. We had spoken before about how health and PE were going to look this coming year, and we are indeed reverting back to working in quarters. And so what the impact will be is that I think specifically you were curious about volleyball. So volleyball for grade 12, it specifically used to be in quarter 2, which basically go from Thanksgiving till after the holidays. So what we've done is that volleyball will be offered twice. It'll be offered in quarter 2 and in quarter 3. Seniors will have it quarter 3 because many seniors participate in the internship program. And so there will be overlap between the 12th grade and the 10th grade in quarter 3, so that volleyball will be up and running. It will be a smoother schedule in regards to the health classes, but we figured this was a nice compromise, getting everyone what they wanted. So,
How does that sound?
Awesome.
great.
So great, thank you. Thank you, Riley, for bringing that to our attention so that we could respond to it. Should have asked for a pony. Excellent, okay. So, Mr. DeQuilla, does anybody else have any more questions? I'm sorry, on curriculum? No. Mr. DeQuilla, would you mind?
Sure, agenda items C1 through C6. Ms. Ciccarelli?
Yes.
Ms. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Del Sandro?
Yes.
Ms. Kenny?
Yes.
Ms. Ross?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
And Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Agenda items pass 7-0.
Excellent. There's no policy items on the agenda, but I would like to ask Dr. LaSousa, do we have a schedule for releasing the new updated policies? Do we anticipate them this semester or closer to next semester?
Yeah, I was going to note when you were talking about the next meeting, I have at least on my calendar August 30th for finance and policy, and then again on September 13th. We'll double check that that's not a mistake, but that's what I have. And part of the thinking was to have fairly frequent policy committee meetings, at least
Okay.
over the course of the next 2 to 3 months. We've now done a multi-tiered review of the policies.
Right.
We've tried to align, our existing policies that are critical with the school board's recommendations. And it's going to be up to the policy committee. I think our goal is going to be to try to cover like a tranche of policies for each meeting, roughly once a month or every 3 weeks for the next few months.
Okay.
And then hopefully by at least the reorg meeting, which would be the first one in January, first Monday in January, we would be ready to make the transition from the current policies to the school board's policies.
Okay, great. Okay, that was sort of the timeline. It hasn't changed. We anticipated it to be the second semester of the school year. Perfect. Thank you. Any additional board business that any folks want to bring up?
I just want to make a comment.
Can you turn on Ann's microphone, please?
I just want to make a comment based on some stuff that's been posted on social media in reference to opt-out templates for what people are opting out of. I'm not sure. There is no opt-out template created by any specific parent group that the school district is accepting. If somebody chooses to opt out of certain programs that have been reflected in the past, it is done through the Genesis portal. It is not done through a template created by any mom or mom group or parental group on social media. So if people are seeing this, this is not a function of the school district. So I want to be perfectly clear, this is not a school district template or whatever it is that people are supposedly posting on social media.
Okay, great, thanks, Ann. Actually, we make it even easier, because when that unit comes up, and this is a plug to the curriculum folks, when that unit comes up for the student, the school district will send you the material for you to review, and then give you an option to opt out right there on Genesis. So, and just a reminder, the state only allows you to opt out of effectively two things: some portions of the health curriculum, very, very narrow portion, and the dissecting of frogs or animals or any other type of dissection. But Mary, if you don't mind, if you would mind clarifying, Dr. Donahue, sorry.
I just wanted to mention that the exact same protocols that we utilized last year for informing parents and pushing out the opt-out option, we'll be following the exact same policies. We actually received very positive feedback. It was timely, it was transparent. And so for any new families coming in, if you're not hearing about any specific topics coming up, it means they're very far down the road. We typically pushed out the information about 2 to 3 weeks before that unit actually began. But based on last year's success, that's exactly our protocol for this year.
Right, which worked very well. They got to see the material, and some folks that were going to opt out said, oh, wait, I don't need to opt out, or I did opt out and I want to opt back in. So, at least they make an informed decision. Whatever decision they want to make, great, fine. But at least it's an informed decision.
And Ms. Weber, I just want to, give kudos to the health and PE folks who worked with Dr. Donahue and Ms. Leister and Ms. Lattarullo. They really tried to get ahead and create every presentation that they were going to deliver to students. And we communicated this, we did this process for over 2,200 students last year, received instruction in sexual health when it came time for it. And of the 2,200 plus, 38 opted out. So we had some opt-outs, but by and large, what parents were able to review ahead of time met with their approval and individual comfort level, and it made it pretty easy for us to kind of work through the units and the timing and the communication, because our teachers had worked so well with the supervisors.
Right,
So,
oh yeah, that was a tremendous effort.
Thanks to them.
Absolute kudos, thank you. Thank you, Ann, for bringing that up. Any other items for board business that they want to discuss? No? First day of school is Monday, giddy up. If you've enjoyed the traffic up till now, just allow yourself a little extra time to get around town, and just keep it in mind, PSE&G is still doing some work on at least some of the borough streets. I'm not sure if there's a lot of digging up, so maybe Peter, you could just keep an eye on if like Lafayette's going to be closed from 8 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon. That would be awful. We have new bus drivers. I'm just concerned they're going to get a detour that will put them, out on Watchung down by Bottle King, and they won't know where to go from there. So if we could just keep an eye on that, Peter. I know you're in close contact with the administrator in the borough. So if you wouldn't mind just keeping an eye on that as Monday rolls toward us, that would be great. Thank you. All right, fantastic. So we have our second opportunity for public commentary. Again, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and signing in, that would be appreciated.
Good evening. Joyce Martinson from the borough, Chatham Borough. With respect to the budget and the added expenses for security, et cetera, I may speak for the tax-paying seniors in town and the tax-paying parents who do not have children in the school system. And I think that it has to be something in the U.S. mail concerning this information, not just the ballot at the end. I think we all have to be fully informed about the increase in taxes and why they're going to happen. And I just really feel that not everybody has an app, not everybody goes on we just got something in the mail in the borough for the new garbage cans. I mean, 2 pages, color, the whole 9 yards. And I think these taxes, if they're going to increase the way it sounds, they're due the same respect and a fiduciary responsibility on your part to let everybody know. So I think you should send it through the mail, something through the mail. Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. Okay, great. No more public commentary, then we're going to close. Oh, sorry, Libby. If anybody else wants to speak, if you don't mind queuing up so that I don't keep saying, oh, no more public commentaries.
Libby Hilsenrath, Chatham BOE. I'll try to queue up the next time. I agree with Joyce Martinson. This ends up being a 2.5% increase to the base of our budget going forward. So and then an additional 2%. So it's 4.5% this year, but the 2.5 for the 2 second questions, which will be on the ballot in November, affect all citizens, not just parents. So to say you can go on the website, or you can get an app, or you can come to the meetings, I don't think is a really realistic way of pushing the information out there. And I would like to see the school board maybe hold some special meetings, advertise them, something prior to when people go to the ballot box in November and vote, and they've never seen the interpretive statements. If you don't have kids in the schools and you're not here like I am every month, you probably don't know about it. So I think, as Joyce said, there is a fiduciary responsibility that you have to the taxpayers to inform them. So I would hope that the board would do the right thing and try to address that somehow. My second question has to do with it's item C under curriculum, where I know it happens every August, I think. You approve the curriculum for each of the schools. But at the end it says, be it further resolved, the Board of Education approves all textbooks to be used 23-24 school year. Revisions for the 2023-24 school year will be subject to board approval. So I'm wondering if a teacher wants to use something in his or her classroom that's not part of what's on the current curriculum or whatever, how do you guys approve that? Does it come before you to approve? Does a teacher have full discretion as to what they're going to teach? How do you enforce this, be it further resolved, that the board is subject to, you have to approve whatever curriculum will be used? Thank you.
Great, thank you, Libby. Excellent. Thank you, Joyce, for your comments. Just a reminder, the ballot always goes out, the sample ballot, just like every other question that the town puts out. We close the public commentary section, so after this, we do not have an executive session, right? We're good. Okay, great. So again, the Finance Committee will have to, we've closed the public commentary section, I'm sorry. So once we have the opportunity, the ballot will go out, the interpretive statement will go out. Folks can check the website. Tyler will report on it. Here he's in the front row, very eagerly reporting on, the next meeting. September 18th is the next meeting. Again, if you're not in favor of it, you vote no. If you don't like the 4% increase, you vote no, and that's fine. The what and the how, though, that's a great question, Libby. And I do want to spend some time on that, and I'm going to look to Dr. Donahue, but this is a highly performing district. This is why people move here, and this is why people pay exorbitant prices for their houses, and this is why people like me make it part of my retirement plan that I could sell my house for an exorbitant amount of price, because people want to be in the school system. And the reason they want to be in the school system are people like Dr. Donahue, Beth Grant, Michael Sousa, Dr. Sorrentino, but what happens is the teachers, teachers have a curriculum, as we've discussed many times with your lawsuit. There's a set curriculum, that's the what, and then there's the how, that's the special sauce. That is the essence of what our teachers bring to the table and why this is such a desired district to live in. The teachers then have team leads, they have meetings, they discuss this ad nauseum, they meet on their own time at the summer, they meet at night, it is crazy the 14, 18 hours they put in. And then once they have a great idea, then they bring it to their supervisor. They bring it to the science supervisor and they kick it around, and then the supervisor weighs in on it and says, hey, how about this, or what about that? Have we thought about this curriculum? Or what's this district doing? Oh, that didn't work there, but this really worked really well here. And then the supervisor may bring it up to team leads with Dr. Donahue and curriculum, and then bring it to the broader group. So no teacher just says, you know what, I'm going to read the McDonald's menu today because that's just what I feel like doing. So again, yes, there's a very highly structured process in place. And, we try and clean up. I know you sued us because, there was some document out on Google Doc that was used years ago, and, we're still waiting for that to settle again, and we're still paying bills for that. But there's a process in place that is highly structured. And, I cannot thank the teachers enough. I'm looking at Ms. Laporto here as the representative. I cannot thank them enough for the tireless effort that they put into that process and designing curriculum so that our kids are successful as they go through school, but more importantly, when they leave here and they don't live in our basements forever. So thank you to you, and thank you as the representative for all the teachers. Now, that was a long-winded, so Dr. Donahue, I don't know if you want to step in, or Dr. LaSousa.
Well, I'll just mention textbook approvals are treated differently under New Jersey law than supplemental texts or other resources that staff members may use. So when we have some type of formal textbook adoption, whether it's a K through 5 math or it's an AP biology book, we always bring that to the curriculum committee. Sometimes the supervisor joins us. That appears in some way on a board agenda for approval. And then our curriculum that is posted on the website for anybody to look at is exhaustive in terms of the potential resources and texts and supplemental materials and so forth that teachers might draw on. So if there is some type of, we just had a natural disaster in Maui. There are 850 people missing right now. If I was a social studies teacher, I might want to bring in some materials about Hawaii and Maui and, whatever I could tie into my curriculum when kids returned. If I were able to, I might draw on some of those resources. And like you said, then I would most likely, that would appear in my lesson plans that my supervisor sees. We'd have discussions about whether or not those supplemental materials and resources are appropriate to make the curriculum and the experience more relevant to students. And that's not something we can't, it's not impossible for us to have every teacher bring that in front of the board every time, because there'd be a 30-day delay every time they wanted to, deal with something that was emergent. So textbooks are a little bit different, and big, gigantic programs are a little bit different than a day-to-day type of thing.
Great, thank you.
I don't know if Mary wants to.
I was just going to add that, the behind-the-scenes portion that you alluded to, Jill, there are many steps along the way in terms of department meetings and lesson planning meetings. And, what governs us really are the New Jersey Student Learning Standards. And so as teachers do look for perhaps supplemental materials, if you are working with a group of students who it's not clicking, it's incumbent upon that teacher to find something that is going to move the needle. And as Dr. LaSousa said, sometimes, you need to do that in a timely fashion. So the fact that we have our department meetings, we have well-trained supervisors, we have administrators that are in the classrooms, there are several touch points, but there does need to be a slight bit of fluidity based on what teachers are observing in the classroom. And as real life instances do happen, it doesn't happen in a vacuum. You want to be able to bring what's happening in the real world into the classroom. So as you pointed to, luckily we have very highly skilled, trained experts in all of our content areas, which help us with this.
All right, excellent, thank you, doctors. Appreciate it. Any other comments or questions? Nope, we can break. Well, here's to a successful start of the new year, and thank you again for all your hard work. Thank you, Ms. Laporto, thank you. Drive safe, thank you for coming out, appreciate it. We'll talk soon, and no executive session. Nick and Lucy, thank you. Thank you for coming out.